So my next question is, what part of the published books that you have or your writing process are you most proud of?
Well, I I would have to say the thing that I'm most proud of as far as my process is my ability to write in the midst of.
Mm.
And that can be in the midst of my depression or anxiety. That can be in the midst of a pandemic.
Right.
That can be in the midst of drama going on around me. I have become a the type of writer who I know what I need to accomplish. I set before I had contracts and a publisher, I still set time frames for when I needed to finish things because I knew that eventually writing was going to be the main part of my job. So I knew I had to develop a I had to develop a schedule. I had to develop a practice of showing up because sometimes what we end up doing is that when we are feeling depressed or anxious, the first thing we throw out is the writing.
Mhm.
You know, very few of us will, wake up and say, oh, I don't think I'm going to go to my job today because I'm depressed. Sometimes it does get so bad that you can't go to work, but more times than not, we get our little depressed selves up and we go to that job. So I knew that I had to treat writing with that same level of respect to say that I'm going to show up and I might not accomplish as much as I'd like. Maybe I can only write a sentence, but I'm going to show up. And when you do that and you get into that habit of I'm going to show up, oftentimes you can feel better and you start to not feel as depressed or you don't feel as anxious or you don't worry about what they're doing in Washington D.C. You just know that I can't control what the politicians are doing. I can't control what this virus is doing, but I can control these characters. I
Mhm.
can tell them where to go and what to do when they get there. So that gives you a sense of empowerment. So for me, always knowing that showing up was necessary. Now, do I get it right every single time? No, there are days where I'll sit here and watch Netflix for hours. But more time than not, I will say, no, your commitment is to write one sentence per day, every single day. And until you do that, then you don't get to do all these other things that distract you from the process.
Awesome. I think that's definitely something I've heard a lot of people struggle with. And up until really recently, it's something that I also struggled with. Now I do 3 pages every morning. Um, and it doesn't have to be like structured or anything, but
Mhm.
as long as it's there, I
Yeah,
can get on with the rest of my day. So that is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. 3 pages, see, just hearing that overwhelms me. Now, most times when I sit down to write, I will write 3+ pages.
Mhm.
But to go to an empty page and say, I've got to write 3 pages, oh my goodness. But if I say, I'm going to sit down and write one sentence,
Mhm.
that's it. And that way, if I write the one sentence and nothing else comes to me, then I'm good. I'm still good because I accomplished my goal. So, but if 3 pages is what works for you, then that's what I tell all my students. Pick something that you know you can attain. If it's a one sentence, if it's 3 pages, if it's 2,500 words, whatever it is, if you know you can accomplish it, then let that be your goal for every single day. Don't take days off. Don't say I'm gonna take off on the weekend or I'm gonna take off
Mhm.
on Sundays or whatever. No, sit in that chair every single day. And if it's one word or one sentence or one paragraph, just set that goal and do it and stick with it.
Definitely. And I think it helps. I don't do my creative writing in that way. That's kind of just like brain dumping all the things that I'm thinking about. So I think most of us are thinking more than one thing. It's just that
Hmm.
once it's all, for me, once it's all on the page, I don't have to worry about it anymore. I
Right.
can move on and be, a
Yeah.
productive, like whatever I need to do during the day. So,
Yeah, being a disciplined writer it takes time. We have to treat it like an athlete treats
Mhm.
what they do. They don't take months off and then come back to the sport generally, or if they do, it's almost like you got to relearn all those skills all over again. So if we can keep ourselves in a routine, I think it will help what it is that we're trying to create.
Definitely.